camera pans slowly across the rusted gates of an abandoned shopping mall, once radiant with life but now consumed by silence. The air hums faintly, as if something unseen still lingers within the structure's decaying core. Beneath the flickering security lights, an old sign sways faintly, whispering echoes of the past. This is where our story begins, with the mall's final night guard, alone in the dark. Thomas Avery, a man in his late 40s, walks toward the main entrance holding a flashlight and wearing his private security uniform. The night shift has been his job for over 10 years, but this place feels different, colder, heavier. The management simply wanted eyes on the property until demolition. Thomas never believed in ghosts, but that belief was about to fracture. Inside, the mall is swallowed in darkness except for emergency lights that buzz erratically. Dust particles hang thick in the air, drifting through the amber beams. Thomas clicks his flashlight on, the beam slicing through old advertisements and cracked mannequins staring lifelessly through shattered glass. Every footstep echoes forever, swallowed by the endless corridors. He passes what used to be the food court, tables overturned, soda machines gutted, and the smell of mildew saturating the space. The silence feels almost orchestrated, perfectly timed between each drip of water from a broken pipe. Thomas checks his watch, it reads exactly 12 o'clock. A sudden electric flicker flashes, and every clock in the corridor now reads precisely the same time. A faint noise rattles from the escalator ahead, though the power has been cut for decades. Metal creaks and whispers ripple upward in the darkness. Thomas trains his flashlight toward the sound, pulse quickening. The escalator groans, and moves a single step on its own. He radios into his base channel, faint static answers but no voice. The signal should work, he's not far from the main office. With growing unease, he adjusts the dial, hearing what sounds like someone breathing slowly on the other end. He turns off the radio, convinced it must be interference, though part of him doesn't fully believe that. In the surveillance room, screens flicker between channels, showing static and distortion. Then, for just a second, one monitor clears, revealing a live feed of Thomas standing in the same hallway he just left. But the figure on the monitor isn't moving, it's staring directly at the camera, a perfect still image of himself that tenses his gut. The lights cut out completely. Silence devours everything. Then, like a cruel trick, the fluorescent bulbs hum back to life, but the layout of the corridor has changed. Displays are rearranged, walls shifted. Thomas blinks rapidly, unsure whether he has lost his orientation or the building itself has transformed. He decides to retrace his steps toward the main doors, though nothing aligns anymore. Every storefront looks identical, signs replicated, color schemes inverted as if the mall has been rearranged by an unseen architect. His flashlight beam shivers against mirrored surfaces that suddenly reflect corridors where none exist. The mall is folding in on itself. In the shoe store, children's sneakers remain neatly stacked, untouched by time. A faint chime echoes from a long-dead announcement system, a voice softly announcing closing time even though there is no power. Thomas freezes, drops his flashlight for a moment, and watches it spin on the floor, light strobing wildly over scattered boxes. Picks up the flashlight and notices footprints, small ones, leading deeper into the store. They shine under the beam as if freshly pressed into dust. Following them, Thomas whispers, "Hello," but the reply is unsettlingly his own voice, perfectly mimicked, echoing back from the darkness. Something inside those aisles is playing tricks with him. At the far end, he sees a glass door labeled "Maintenance Access." He pushes it open and steps into a utility corridor, pipes hissing softly with evaporated condensation. Suddenly, all power surges, and he can see the corridor seems much longer than before, stretching into infinity. Each fluorescent bulb flickers sequentially, endlessly receding into nothingness. Thomas begins walking, counting his steps to steady his nerves. 10, 15, 20, but each time he looks back, the door behind him remains the same distance away. The loop is undeniable, the mall is rewriting space itself. Sweat glistens on his neck as he whispers that maybe he's inside a dream, or worse, a simulation glitch. Whisper in the vents follows him, distorted voices overlapping like corrupted data streams. Words form just enough to be understood, "You shouldn't be here." He turns, trembling, as lights ahead shatter one by one, plunging him again into absolute blackness. The sound of footsteps that aren't his own approaches deliberately. Thomas runs, the only direction possible, but the hallway splinters like broken film. Every corner loops into another, repeating visuals of the same sign, the same vending machine, the same discarded magazine. It's as though reality has been caught in a feedback loop. His breath becomes the only sound he can trust. Bursting through a maintenance hatch, he finds himself back at the Central Mall atrium. The skylight above remains intact, though the stars outside seem unnaturally still, almost pixelated. He shines his flashlight upward, and for an impossible second, the stars flicker like digital noise. The glitch isn't confined to the building, it's cosmic. Mall speakers crackle alive once more with faint elevator music, warped and slow. Each note drags through the air like melted tape. Beneath it, a second melody hides, something reversed, not of human origin. Thomas can feel every hair on his body rise as the sound intensifies. He enters the old toy store, shelves lined with dolls whose plastic eyes gleam through dust. One of them, its mouth slightly open, begins to emit static. The doll's head turns gradually toward him, creaking as though forced by invisible hands. Thomas steps back, goosebumps crawling his skin, unable to rationalize what he's seeing. The mall alarm bell suddenly erupts, but its pitch is wrong, too deep, resonating in his chest more than his ears. He clutches his chest and kneels, the vibration shaking through the entire building. Objects tumble from shelves as though gravity momentarily misfires. Every shadow stretches longer than it should. Panting, Thomas presses toward the security office, the one place he hopes remains real. Inside, the monitors now all show his own live feed, each at a slightly delayed angle. One figure lags behind, not matching his movement, a perfect double standing perfectly still. When he waves his hand, the other version doesn't move. He begins shouting into the camera, demanding explanation, but the other Thomas only smiles faintly, emotion out of sync with reality. Then, one by one, every screen cuts to black except one. In that final feed, his double lifts a flashlight and starts walking toward the office door, from the opposite side. Thomas spins around as the door handle begins to move. He backs against the desk, panicked, sweat streaking down his cheek. The door opens slowly to reveal nothing. The corridor outside stands empty, save for the faint glow of a red exit sign flickering in slow motion, as if time itself is stuttering. Out of instinct, he checks the tapes, footage from previous nights. But when he rewinds, each tape starts with him entering the mall, over and over again, wearing the same clothes and repeating the same pattern. It's not security footage, it's a time loop documented. The realization drains every ounce of color from his face. Thomas tries his radio again, this time whispering desperately for anyone listening. Static turns to a digitized voice repeating his name distortedly. Then, quietly, the voice whispers something new, shift complete. The radio clicks off, dead. But the lights in the hall switch on one by one, leading somewhere deliberate. Against all logic, he follows the light trail through the empty mall. Each step resounds heavy, with some subtle echo repeating his sound half a second late. By the time he reaches the end, he stands before a door marked exit. The handle is warm, impossibly warm, as though touched from the other side. He pulls the door open and steps not into the night, but back into the atrium again. It's identical, down to the misplaced magazine on the floor. His breathing grows ragged as he shrieks in frustration and horror. The building has him trapped inside an endless recursive loop. All at once, the mall's intercom clicks softly and a calm female voice announces, "Welcome new employee. Your shift begins now." Thomas stumbles backward, heart pounding in primal terror. His flashlight sputters, his shadow stretching unnaturally toward the ceiling, merging seamlessly into it. The skylight suddenly fractures with a deafening crack, raining shards of glass that hang midair, suspended as though frozen in time. Thomas looks around in disbelief as everything around him halts, the dust, the debris, his own breath. Then, an invisible force tugs him upward, gravity reversed. His body suspends weightlessly in the center of the rotunda. The light overhead pulses like a computer rebooting sequence, everything shifting between frames of reality and emptiness. Through the reflection of the tiled floor below, another version of Thomas looks up, inverted, smiling. The two Thomases lock eyes, and the mirrored version speaks first, mouthing silent words that Thomas somehow hears inside his mind, "You took my shift." The light flares violently, and both realities collide in a blinding white flash. When the light fades, only one figure remains, expressionless. By morning, demolition crews arrive and find the mall exactly as it was, dusty, locked, untouched. Security logs show no entry overnight. The footage from the previous night, however, reveals static, occasionally interrupted by glimpses of a man walking infinite corridors. None of the workers recognize him. Authorities call it equipment malfunction, another ghost story for online forums. But those who watched the recovered footage claim to hear whispers buried deep in the sound, calling out the same name faintly, Thomas. As if the mall, in some twisted way, now employs a new permanent guardian. Local legends spread fast, about a glowing figure seen through the mall windows every night precisely at midnight. People drive by to witness it, but cameras never capture it correctly, always flickering, always glitching. As if reality itself refuses to acknowledge what remains inside. Technology experts analyze the distortion frames and note impossible patterns, repeating sequences matching human heartbeats. The theory emerges that time momentarily fractures inside confined spaces of decaying architecture, replaying moments on endless loops. Still, no one volunteers to step inside the mall again. Decades later, the mall stands untouched, fenced off and forgotten. The walls occasionally shake during storms though no wind passes through. Those nearby swear that if you press your ear against the gate at midnight, you'll hear the echo of footsteps, a loyal guard still walking his endless route. In the end, Thomas Avery became an anomaly, a living paradox folded somewhere between existence and reflection. The building remains sealed, but cameras pointed toward its facade occasionally freeze at exactly 12 o'clock nightly, displaying a faint glitch image. Perhaps, in the language of machines, it's still clocking him in. If you ever find yourself near an abandoned place where the clocks all show one identical time, leave before midnight strikes. Some fractures in reality never heal once entered. And sometimes, glitches do not correct themselves, they simply replace the missing data, with you.